Ooh, it was spicy in that room today. Greg Cody came in, and Greg Cody has sat in this chair, Zaslow, and his phone just pinged, and I just said, Greg, that was your phone, because he didn't look up, didn't seem to hear it, and he's like, I know, show hasn't started yet, buddy, relax yourself.
Oh, that's because I walked in when he said "relax yourself."
Yeah,
I didn't know what that was.
So, but that's just the end. You're just catching the tail end of the spicy. He's got something for you today. He's got something for me. He's got podcast ego that's out of control, and so now he's picking fights. He's looking for beefs, and he comes after you in a way that
me?
Yeah, oh yeah, he came after you.
I wouldn't say that.
You feel like you're on that level?
Chris
Start coming
Cody,
after people?
Chris Cody, what would be your analysis? Do you believe that your dad, did he or did he not come after me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did he or did he not come after Zaz?
Yes.
Okay, so did you think you were going to come here and do this quietly today?
There's a big difference. I did come after you. I did not come after Zaz. I reacted to being questioned
I'll be the
about
judge of that.
Zaz. So there's a difference.
Relax yourself.
I love that phrase. I'm surprised it didn't make my top 50 catchphrase countdown.
What did?
You
don't know.
No, I do know. You want me
He
to
learned his lesson. He wrote it down this
He
week.
wrote it down this week. Where are his artifacts from his garage? Because I heard he was complaining at the bowling alley that not enough was made of his artifacts last week.
Well, that's true, if I'm being honest. You know, if I'm going to take the time to go through all my memorabilia and present a few things on the show, at least, make a big deal out of them.
Greg, we did have that as a segment, and it died on your watch. You just stopped bringing stuff in.
Well, because the first time I did it, it did not receive the...
What are you talking about? It was wildly popular. Show and tell with Greg Cody. You brought
Okay.
something in from the game room of Curios. We were
Right.
all like, this guy's weird, and then it just went away.
Okay, all right, maybe I'll bring it back.
No, and you know where,
Jack.
Mike, you know where it went away last week? Because he's like, not enough was made of Mount Curios. Yeah, you stopped talking about them. We kind of need you to present them, not just look at this fascinating media guide from 69, guys. It's a pamphlet. I got no other material other than that.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm good with that.
Thank you.
You just stop bringing stuff in.
I know. I'll continue bringing stuff in.
Same with the soups.
Where is it today? Where's your back in my day? It's Tuesday.
Do you have a soup?
No, I don't have a soup. I don't...
Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man-to-man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
Zaslow has burst onto this scene, right? Very rarely has someone fit into our environment this seamlessly so quickly, but he's also getting very comfortable, and so I can see him now, feel him getting annoyed by Jeremy before the show.
A little bit.
I've known Zaslow a long time, and I can see what's happening now as all of these chemicals come together, led by Greg Cody, who is spicy today. and we're going to get to some of the sound from his podcast. Chris, can you give me some context, please? Why is he doing this? Like, what is it, just to generate numbers in the modern age because the media has fallen apart and he needs to get his clicks, or is he legitimately mad at me and Zaslow?
Now, ripping Dan definitely does numbies, so I don't know how honest he's being, but he definitely ripped you. And do you want me to just spoil it?
No. I don't want the context for what it is that he's done. I just want to understand what he's doing.
I think he genuinely, with him, he seemed genuinely upset about with you. With Zaz, I just kind of asked him a question. He thought he was giving a compliment, and then
look,
starts
these
ripping
two
him.
people have not liked
give a
it.
compliment.
These two people have not liked each other for 20 years. Okay, this is the rare time for the last few months they're in the same room together. Would you have considered him a nemesis? Like, where would he have been in terms of the media people you've feuded with? Charles Bricker. Where does he rank on the list? He's top 10.
And look at me in the eyes when you say it.
He's top 10. Yes. What is he? No, that's a good ranking. Put that on your podcast
I will.
instead of
I'll do
50
that
catchphrases
sometime.
you don't have.
I don't have 10 enemies. He might not even make that list. Okay, he's been critical of me and my column writing. I tend to be critical of people who are critical of me, and so it's sort of a yin-yang thing. We're going back and forth.
I will say, what he did to Zaz was more backhanded. I think he thinks he was being neutral with Zaz.
I mean, what he did to me, I'd like to hear what he did to me.
We'll play
This
it.
is being built up.
I think he went in intending to rip. Zaz, I don't think he actually meant to, but did.
Okay.
Correct on both counts.
All right, so let's do this, okay? Let's find out first, because I don't know why your father's mad at me. Let's find out first, why are you annoyed with Jeremy? What's going on with him? Because he's trade deadline. He won't shut up about everybody's being traded everywhere, and he's just, at one point I look at him, he's playing a flute and a bugle, and like he just can't talk enough about the trade deadline, and we're like, still football, kid, still football.
Right, like I wouldn't go as far as say Jeremy was being annoying. I wouldn't say that. But I will say, one thing I've learned about Jeremy, he can talk. He can talk. And we're doing the Jeremy show out there today. Save it for the air, all right? Literally,
No, don't save it for the air. I'm good with it expiring out there and then never getting in.
But
here.
I got a full episode of the Jeremy show.
I know
over there.
we all did. We all do.
I'm trying to have my coffee.
I know,
maybe have a bagel
I know.
and cream
Look,
cheese.
It's every morning. It's aggressive. Mike comes in with the heavy metal music, and Jeremy starts talking to you until your eyelids frost over. Like, okay,
It's a nice remix, the death metal and Jeremy talking.
and today. Greg came in here spicy. First thing he said to me wasn't hello. It was respect yourself, because I'm telling him, your phone might ding during the show because you don't seem to
relax yourself.
Yeah, that's a fine. Not every genre of metal is death metal, you amateurs.
So I did do relax yourself, and I said respect, I think, by mistake. And it's in part because I think I have this right. Zaslow does not have any quibble with liking you. You're an extraordinarily likable person. But I do get the impression, and this is the place where it hurts Cody the most, because Cody takes the great pride of identity of being a columnist. I'm not sure that Zaz respects your opinion as a columnist. And I think that's the starting point. I don't think you dislike him. Greg's eminently likable.
All right. Zaz, be careful. Because what Dan just did has nothing to do with the Greg clip. He's just trying to further divide you.
Well, I mean, something's been put on the table here. I need to pick it up and respond.
Look at his
now.
face. He knows what he did.
Well, no, wait a minute. He
knows what he did.
Yes, he does.
Look, Greg,
no.
Yes,
I'm
duplicitous.
telling you.
This is why I'm smiling. No, this is why I'm smiling. I'm smiling because of what Zaz said, which is, no, you assholes, let me pick up this bit of content that Dan has handed me, because it's a good space, because I'm a good radio person, because I know what's interesting.
You're in a playpen right now. You love this.
If somebody puts my name on the street, I'm going to respond. And Dan's telling me my name was on the street. So here's what I got to say about that. For one, when I first started doing this show, I didn't know Greg Cody personally from a hole in the wall, all right? All I knew was the columns. Do I care for the columns? Well, when you're a kid and you read a column that says trade Dan Marino, crushing your hopes and dreams as a little Dolphin fan, we're not off to a great start. But then, once I get to know him here in studio, I'm like, all right, this guy's not so bad. All right, this is a nice man, as I suspected, by the way. This is a nice man, as I suspected, and now getting to know him, like, you know what? I think I do like him. Don't care for the column, but personal. Which would you rather? Would you rather someone like me, Greg, care for you personally or care for you professionally?
Obviously, I'd like both, but
Can't have everything.
Listen, I don't care if somebody doesn't love my columns. Not everybody does.
That's right.
It's fine. I got no problem with that, and I like Zaz, and I've gotten to know him better in the last several months.
I'm a nice boy.
We'll get to all of this in a second, but Chris, your takeaway when you left the podcast, okay, and it's the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody.
Right?
Did you think that I was like it has gotten back to me that he just told me to bleep you and that he's legitimately angry at me, and I don't know what it's about. It could be any number of things because your father's remarkably sensitive after all of these years of friendship.
It was an aggressive FU as
Yeah, well, let's listen to that sound first. Let's listen to Greg Cody on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody, and I will find out with the rest of you what he's mad about because I do not know.
My problem is Dan Le Batard, of all people, who lost his vote in disgrace with good reason, being the guy who says, I should lose my vote because I changed my mind over the course of 6 years.
We're having two different conversations. I don't think you should lose your vote. I'm not with Dan on that, but I can't, like, the most you've ever sounded like Trump the way you're defending that tweet. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, first of all, never say that again. Le Batard, I know Le Batard very well. I know when he's serious.
We're having two
and when he's not.
conversations.
I know when he's serious and when he's not. He was serious when he said he thinks I should lose my vote. Well, you.
I mean, he should lose it.
No. A, I shouldn't lose it, and B, you're the last person on earth who should be admonishing
Why?
me
Because I took
about the way I
took
handle
a
my
noble
vote.
stand with a compromised media and lost my vote over principle, or because of you, a shill for baseball who barely pays attention and forgets to vote in Andrew Jones and then votes him in years later.
I never forgot to vote for
No, you were
Andrew
vehemently
Jones.
against it.
Yeah, and so were about 20% of the electorate. I was one of dozens and
You said he'd never get in.
You did a
Yeah,
condescending tweet that was like dismissive of people even suggesting.
Right, and at that time, that was the climate for Andrew Jones's candidacy. Things change.
You can't.
Guess
you
what?
don't know.
Nothing changed, though.
People
Nothing
change
changed,
their
Greg.
mind.
Greg, nothing
Nothing
changed
actually
other
changed.
than your mind.
Okay, why do you think that a number of players go 8 or even 10 years without getting in, and then
let me set this up for the audience again because it was legitimately shocking to have a listener point out after Greg Cody parades around. Look, guys, I voted Andrew in this time as the sanctimonious gatekeeper.
Was that the face he made?
Yeah. I know my baseball
Really?
guys. I asked my sons whether he was a good center fielder.
Oh,
or not.
I had that tone of voice, did I?
Yes, and
Okay.
it's like, I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about Michael Tucker or anybody of those Braves. I don't know anything about Andrew Jones other than that one scandal he had where he had the Gold Club trial and didn't know the names of either of the strippers he had slept with.
Michael Tucker. The hell?
Anyway.
Can I read the tweet?
Yes,
Andrew
yes.
Jones didn't even spell his first name right. But
there it is.
But
Look
a
at
great
that.
defensive
Look,
player.
the gatekeeper comes in with that one, telling minorities how to spell their name. There he is.
Everything's about a minority with you. I'm making fun of somebody's name.
I know,
it's not
but
spelled correctly.
yeah, but other people spell differently than Anglo-Saxons.
Anglo-Saxons.
It's always about that with you,
What
Dan.
were we in medieval times?
Andrew Jones-
Anglo-Saxon.
You, a gatekeeper, on whether Andrew Jones should be in the Hall of Fame while telling him his name is spelled wrong, and this tweet
I'm
exists.
kidding. I'm prodding. I'm poking.
This
I'm having
tweet
fun.
exists of you.
I know.
5 years ago, all right, you screenshotted your 2021 Hall of Fame ballot. You remember everyone who you voted for back in 2021?
not.
I'm going to tell you. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Manny Ramirez, Todd Helton, Kurt Schilling, it's a dicey one, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, Omar Vizquel, and Billy Wagner. And you attach to it, appreciate all your comments on my Hall ballot, but one thing jumps out. You, Andrew Jones, folks, are delusional. Seriously. Good player. Hall, not close. Sub-zero, zero shot at Cooperstown. Sub-zero,
Yeah.
if you prefer.
They should take your vote.
5 years ago, that was the truth. Every word of that was the truth.
I feel like if you asked Tim Kirkchin 5 years ago, he would say, it doesn't make my ballot this year, but you don't know, maybe further down the road. It wouldn't be a condescending, you're an idiot if you're even considering ever voting for him.
Delusional.
Okay, but Tim Kirkchin, whose baseball opinion I respect as much as anyone's, Tim Kirkchin would defend me right now because
Not the tweet.
unlike everybody else in this room, Tim Kirkchin is a fellow voter like myself. And Tim Kirkchin realizes
He would defend not
that
voting
people
for him.
change their mind. That's why you think it was just
Yeah,
me?
but generally the information changes, Greg.
No, wrong. You're wrong. Spilling coffee
No,
all over yourself.
you're wrong.
No.
You're wrong. Like, read the tweet again. Like, how do you defend this?
Okay, when you say people don't change their mind, obviously they do, because 5 years ago, Andrew Jones was getting about 22% of the vote, and he inched up to 75. Why?
Greg,
because dozens and dozens of voters
you don't vote,
like me
Greg,
decided
you
he's
don't
a Hall
vote
of
10
Famer.
in every year. The distinction that you're not making, that Tim Kirkshin would, is, and it's more polite and respectful of baseball than you are in this tweet. He's saying there were other 10 guys more qualified and I could only vote for these 10. He was 12th. I'll get him in 5 years. That's not what you said. You rained down judgment on this is not a Hall of Famer. That's not what you did. And you don't vote 10 in every year. You were holding on to that vote when you were with the steroid guys. You were holding on. You're very you're not lenient with your vote.
Matter of fact, you had 9 that year. You could have had a 10th.
That's another example of the electorate changing its collective mind. It used to be that the steroid guys were persona non grata. They got 10% of the vote, 15%. Now they're up to 40 or 50%. A lot, and I set the trend there. A lot of voters are coming onto the fact that it should not be a lifetime ban. It should not be a life sentence because you may or may not have done steroids 6 years
I'll
earlier.
get back to this in a second because we've got Mensa news, and I also want to get to the UM schedule here. But I don't want to let this go because of how wrong he is about this and just defending really something that, while not immoral, is unbelievably beneath him.
I love that I get to use this expression correctly. This is inside baseball.
Yeah, and it's Hall of Fame vote, and it's the wheelhouse for Greg Cody because he's very proud of having this vote. So it insults him enough to say bleep you to somebody who has a different opinion than him because it means a lot to him to be a voter.
I'm just confused because on one hand, I'm very proud of Greg to say, hey, I was wrong back then. I've changed my mind. I'm allowed to do that. As I age, as I get more mature, as more data comes to light. But also, I'm not budging on this tweet.
It's great.
Just say,
It's
hey,
great.
that tweet, yeah.
You would think they go hand in hand, but nope.
This is what Erlene's married to. He'll come around eventually, but it'll never be in the moment. 5
or 6 years ago, 80% of the electorate would have agreed with that
It's
tweet.
the being condescending,
there's
Dad.
no chance.
It's not just not voting. Like, get that out of here. We're not criticizing you for not voting for him.
You were offended with anyone who said
You
Andrew
can
Jones
have
should
your
been in, right?
reasons on why you didn't vote for him, but your reason in that tweet, it did not age well. You dismissed the idea of him ever. You say in that tweet,
delusional,
and it's never gonna happen.
You show me anybody trending at 20% right now, and I will say the same thing. There's no chance these people, this guy's going to get in.
All right, so Cody is sticking to, I was right at the time. He's a stubborn man. We'll get to his beef with Zaslow in a second. But, Mike, what is the Mensa news? And this has been a long time since I did this. Billy's going to be so mad. I'd like to go over the UM schedule with you. That's not a sentence I thought I would ever say again in my life.
Well, the schedule through the prism of potentially having a quarterback should make for a new discussion. The statement from Young Money. Through close collaboration and principled negotiation, we have successfully negotiated an unprecedented path, one that has now been reached fair and mutually with an agreeable resolution. We commend Darian Mensa for his extraordinary professionalism, maturity, and unwavering commitment to making the decision that best serves his future and family. His approach throughout the process exemplifies the highest standards of character and integrity. With that foundation in place, we are pleased to announce that Darian Mensa, supported by our legal team and legal counsel and Young Money, has reached a settlement agreement with Duke University. He has bought himself out of his NIL deal with Duke. His name was officially entered the portal. Darian Mensa is now free to go wherever he pleases.
And there are no restrictions, and there's nothing going to be coming forth in terms of court issues or injunctions.
Unless
or
part of the
anybody...
settlement. Unless part of the settlement was that he can't go a specific place, which I don't believe so, Darian Mensa is now free and clear to do what he pleases. This is, I believe, the first time an athlete has bought himself out of his NIL deal. I imagine wherever he goes will make him whole, because remember, this was not a Miami lawsuit as it was portrayed in the media. This was a Darian Mensa Duke lawsuit, and they have come to a settlement.
So can you give me some information on Young Money? Lil Wayne, is that his company?
I assume he's part of the financial backers of it. Yeah, it's an offshoot of the record label.
Okay, so now you see what's happening, right? Just pay attention to the game. because the agents and the hip-hop industry and people who know how to make money around the hustle, if you're going to say agents rule things and there are no rules, yeah, we'll just buy ourselves out there and we'll cash in the next future million over here. When he goes to Miami, we make him a bigger star. That's the game we're playing now, just so that you know where the power is, how agents run things, and there's less governance there than there is anywhere in what is professional football. So the Lil Waynes of the world and their capitalist hustlers can get into this game, buy the players, say, we got you, kid. We'll front you, whatever.
I think you're seizing on the wrong thing. I'm not sure how involved. I know Lil Wayne is a financial backer here, but this is not anything different. Yeah, he's rep by Young Money, but there are a million agents that would handle this the exact same way.
No, let me backtrack, because what Mike is saying is correct in that the news of the day, should there be no limitations, is that Mensa is probably coming to Miami, and the next news on that is whatever Duke is willing to or can put up as a fight of, no, we're not the minor leagues for Miami where you can just buy our quarterback when we've got to deal with him. Like, the business of this.
Fight's done.
I know. Okay, the fight is done now, and you're reporting that it's done and that Duke has no recourse.
Unless there's some new information, that's what settlements are.
So what do you imagine that conversation was like? The reason that I brought up the Young Money portion of this is because the ability to buy yourself out of a contract and future conflict is usually something the athlete does not have unless he's pressing against future earnings. So when the business of this comes and the agents get involved as they are running the sport through these kids, what do you imagine this means to the business of football, as the business of football is what Miami just almost won last year?
I do think that this is an interesting case study because this is a whole new world with an athlete, specifically at that position, buying himself out of a multi-year NIL agreement. You don't often see multi-year NIL agreements too. Darian Mensah was... he might be viewed as Curt Flood in a couple of different respects, because Duke, with rev share money, poached Darian Mensah from Tulane, established a whole new market. Mensah got more than double what Cam Ward got for Miami. It sent the quarterback pricing market into a new stratosphere last year. And now he has bought himself out of a multi-year deal, again, kind of like Curt Flood. Just a whole new precedent.
Okay, so how do you guys feel about the Curt Flood thing? Because that is very religious sports language he's using. I want to come back.
It's a bit lofty.
I want to come back here for a second, though, because I've been guilty of being a bit lofty as it comes to Dion and what it is that he was doing and is doing in Colorado as the original business sports mercenary. Young Money, I think, also represented Travis Hunter, okay? And so one of the things that's happening here, Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. Travis Hunter gets Dion that contract. If Travis Hunter becomes a top 5 NFL player, the power in the sport that's going to the player after Northwestern threatened to unionize and everything that happened over the last 5 years, this is a really interesting precedent. If Mike's going to put it in Curt Flood territory, it's a pretty interesting precedent, the details on how you buy yourself out of this deal if you want to be the guy who replaces Fernando Mendoza, because now Indiana's the big program with the big money and you want to be a $5 million a year quarterback.
I think where it can approach Curt Flood territory is you have Dabo, who's as old school as it comes, who's dealing with his own poaching situation and Ole Miss, calling for collective bargaining. People may look to this and say, if multi-year agreements don't mean anything and these athletes can just buy themselves out and score another NIL deal that kind of takes care of their lost wages when it comes to this settlement, then you have something that could potentially be viewed as, if not the tipping point, one of the major things that gets this closer to where it needs to be, which is a collectively bargained sport with clear and identified rules.
It is really fun precedent-setting chaos. Like, it really is. It's fascinating. If you don't have any morality about the capitalism of your games, like if you're just watching it as a test study, what's happened in the last 5 years to this sport, where we all saw that the Mario Cristobal contract was something. If he's going to get the best players, if $90 million on a contract to a coach with a salary cap of about $21 million is going to get you all the biggest and the best players, then everyone's going to want to play that game. And to see Miami rocket through the last 4 years of, oh, the whole thing's changing. It's going to be straight business, straight cash, homie. And to see what's happening where thousands of kids are being churned up in this portal. Like they get college football's door closes in their face. They go from one day to the other not realizing, oh, wait, we were doing business. I did it poorly. Thousands of kids in that portal are having their college careers ended. It's cruel. It's awful. But you're seeing the machine come to life, and there's no stopping it.
The rich get richer in college football right now. And look at what Miami's done. They've gone from record-setting Cam Ward to Carson Beck to Darian Mensah, presuming that they get him. That at the most important position.
Aren't we presuming that?
I would anticipate Darian
Right.
Mensah being a Miami Hurricane
Yeah.
now, and I do think what Greg is outlining is pretty spectacular in that
It is.
they got Cam Ward, they got Carson Beck, shit looked bleak, and they found a way to get a quarterback that, when held in direct comparison
Did it
to
look
Sam
bleak?
Levitt, yeah, because
Mike was
Mensah
very
was
worried.
not in the
I
portal.
will tell you that 5 days before the national championship, Mike was very worried still, anxious about, we're not going to have a quarterback next year.
We're not going to be able to keep this thing rolling because Emory obviously knows about our pursuits. We were very aggressive in trying to get Sam Levitt. Jimmy Sexton happened there. Jimmy Sexton, who also reps Lane Kiffin, isn't going to stick his neck out, make Lane pick what he believes is the best job in America, and not get Lane the quarterback that he wants. So that's what happened with Sam Levitt. Ty Simpson wasn't a fan of how he handled his business, putting the number out there, but he had 32 NFL GMs telling him he was a first-round draft pick. There weren't really any great options. I was breaking down tape of Western Carolina quarterbacks, and they found a solution here, I think, potentially, if you're to believe what's out there with Darian Mensah, who I think is a spectacular quarterback.
This is an obvious solution.
An ACC champion.
I don't know why you would be bashful about this. To me, okay, I know that now in retrospect, everyone thinks they knew about whatever they thought they knew about Carson Beck or Cam Ward. But this kid, if you watched football last year, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss would have won the Heisman Trophy if we'd gone another day. But this kid looks like a professional quarterback. The Miami Hurricanes have solved their quarterback situation. They're going to go Cam Ward, Carson Beck, and maybe Mensah's a drop-off from Beck, but I don't think he is actually.
No, I don't believe so either. What I like about Mensah is he's got some guts. We can call it how it is. I think Carson Beck was fundamentally changed after that Louisville game and was a little timid when it came to stretching the field. I'm not sure you're going to see Mensah be that timid. And if you get his receiver, his 1,000-yard receiver from Duke as part of the package deal, you're talking about a loaded Miami team that is well-positioned, and they can make another run. They got to win Charlotte. They got to win the ACC.
Let's get to the schedule in a second because buying the best quarterback and receiver from your conference champion, stealing those two players from Duke, however it is that you come about getting them, Miami will lose no momentum offensively because Malachi Toney is returning and a lot of good players are returning. Defensively,
and I believe Shannon Dawson is going to stay. There was some hearsay conjecture. He was offered up in some interviews. Some schools reached out to him. I don't think that that's fully buttoned up, but I anticipate Shannon Dawson staying.
And if I may just say, parenthetically, Miami is doing this to Duke at the expense of a former coach, Manny Diaz, which is sort of a fun aside.
Well, Manny Diaz has won a conference championship. Mario Cristobal has not. And this is a funny aside in a number of different ways, as now Duke gets dragged again by big boy football, because that's a program that when Miami was coming up had a track around the field, and Duke was good at offense last year. Duke has been good at offense for a bit, and these two players that Miami got, a big, white, fast wide receiver that, never mind the whiteness of it, Miami didn't really have a number two last year. C.J. Daniels was hurt. Marion couldn't be trusted, and so you had Malachi Toney being asked to do too much. This guy's not a two.
No, he's a perfect SAT guy, too. Cooper Barcade is pretty spectacular.
Coach's son.
And that game against Duke is certainly going to have a lot of juice if those two players from Duke end up coming to Miami. Really quirky schedule for Miami this year. Do we have sound of Mario Cristobal complaining, openly lamenting the one thing that he would look at the landscape of college football? You ask Mario Cristobal what's the one thing he would change about it, and he invoked the schedule.
One of the top things, it's minor in the eyes of many.
I would eliminate Thursday and Friday games, man. College football's for Saturday. That drives me bananas. I know, and that's might be petty to some.
Yeah.
Man, I want college football on Saturdays. I really, really do.
So he's got 3 Fridays and a Thursday this season, including opening the season across the country in Palo Alto for a primetime Friday game. There's a lot of reasons to not like this, what it does to your body clock and whatnot. ACC games, they have this big deal with ESPN. They have that standalone national window. Might benefit some of the players on like the Heisman stage, but also they get spooky. We saw it time and time again. Now, hopefully a more consistent Miami means less spooky hours on Friday. But, yeah, we got 4 of these bad boys, including a FAMU game that will go directly against the NFL kickoff, the first game of the season there. But it does line up pretty well for Miami. And when you consider the 2 storylines of the 2 programs and you look at their schedules, that November 7th game against Notre Dame is going to be so blown up and promoted. You're talking about potentially game of the century type of vibe surrounding that game when you consider all the storylines.
When you look at everything on there, okay, I should point out Manny Diaz is also the guy who refused to let Fernando Mendoza walk on to the University of Miami. But you look at that schedule, and when you talk about business building, put it on the poll, please, Juju, is college football for Saturdays? That's an easy schedule, and that Notre Dame game is an obvious monster. But what we just told you transactionally is going to put Miami in the playoffs next year if they don't get hurt. The thing that I was starting to say, though, is that it's going to be hard to replace that pass rush, right? You don't normally have they fixed their defense in 1 year, and the reason they fixed their defense and the secondary was not exposed more is because in the sport they had the best pass rush because they've got 2 first-round edge rushers. Miami's never had those. Miami doesn't make first-round edge rushers, so to have 2 on the same team is going to be impossible to replace. And I don't say that to criticize Miami. I'm just saying you cannot have the expectation yet that you're the Georgia or Alabama defensive lines where you get all the first-round picks on the defensive line.
This is fair. You citing history is true. Miami's never had an edge rushing tandem the way that they had with Mesidor and Bain. Pretty illustrious program. Those are the best edge rushers we've ever had. They're both going to be first-round picks. Ruben Bain did a hit on the local CBS affiliate, and he said he thinks Miami's defensive line is going to be better next year. Reasons for that: we saw Marquise Lightfoot really come online. Hayden Lowe has been injured all season last year, but he's a gamer, a 5-star type of guy. You look across that entire defensive line, they are all 5-stars, with the exception of Moten, who was fantastic for this team last year. And I will snap back a little bit in that, yes, the edge rushers were amazing. Huge credit to them. Big part of the turnaround. Corey Heatherman, I think, deserves a ton of the compliments here because Jacoby Thomas and Keontae Scott, not with huge fanfare, they tried to move Keontae Scott to an outside corner at his previous stop. He identified those players. He's exceptional when it comes with those nickel safety hybrid type of guys, and I think Heatherman's going to be a head coach real soon.
Also, a shout-out to Jason Taylor and the job he's done with the U.
Okay.
And Damian Lewis.
All right, we don't need this to be an acceptance speech. We can shout out whoever it is that you like in terms of credit. What I'm telling you fixed their defense is they had 2 first-round pass rushers. It fixed it in 1 year. And while Mike can be as enthused as he likes about an assortment of 5-stars, and he should be, because this is how you build the momentum to having the D-lines that Alabama and Georgia had that have to win up the front because you got bigger, stronger athletes up front. Miami's springboarded into, they just took Duke's position players. That's won the conference. With 5 losses, that won the championship game, and it did so with offense. Like that, they did so because that receiver and that quarterback. It's not because of the line play. And so it sounds like I'm questioning that they can do it as well as they did last year, as Mike hyperventilates, because it's understandable. This is exciting if you're a Miami fan. I've watched 50 years of UM football without seeing one guy like that on their defensive end. Like, not one, not Calais Campbell. Not one guy have I ever seen like the 2 they had this year. And it fixed their defense, and it made their defensive coordinator look great because nothing's more important than pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Ruben Bain was named the number 2 player in the entire country by ESPN's Top 100 postseason list. Number 2 in the whole country after only Mendoza. And Mesidor, I think, really was as good as Bain for a lot of the season.
An older player. Bain had some injuries last year, but I will say Bain and Mesidor were on that bad defense last year, and it didn't really matter much. They also brought in Damon Wilson, a 6'4" guy from Mizzou that had 9.5 sacks. That'll add to that rotation on the defensive line. And I'll defer to Ruben Bain, who's seen these guys in practice. Some guys that you may not be familiar with. Some guys that do some work on Green Tree that haven't featured this season, like Hayden Lowe. When Ruben Bain says he thinks the D-line is going to be better, I think we should listen.
Zaslow, are you still stewing in what the beef is here with Cody, or
I'd just like to know.
All right, so here, let's play the sound here. Let's circle back around here to Zaslow's discomfort around Cody, and Cody just asked point blank on the Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody by his son,
says with right
who
there.
I wonder where he learned all this shit stirring. It's not something you should do.
Well,
Dad, how do you feel? Dad, has Zaz grown on you? Like, do you find yourself? Is your opinion the same, worse, better? Of like, just in your 4 months working with Zaz occasionally?
I would say it's and I think he told Le Batard that his opinion of me has improved. I think it's the same because when you get to know somebody personally, I think you get to appreciate more who they are.
You just said it's the same.
Well,
better.
I don't, and I would say this to his face. I don't love his style of announcing or talking. The
what a cutting thing to say.
The thing that gives him actual character and
personality.
I mean, to me, he's the New York radio guy, the boisterous, just the guy who's like over the top with.
There you go. The guy that can actually communicate to his audience. I find it hilarious.
He's over the top, right? He's too loud. They never.
Well, what don't you like with the way I communicate?
Okay.
What don't you like with what I do on this show?
Okay.
What don't you like with the way I express myself and get my opinions? Okay. What's the matter with what I'm doing here?
Okay, you could have said that a little softer.
There's nothing wrong with the way I talk.
And
I
made
talk
your
awesome.
point. No, my point, and I said at one point that I would say this to your face, and I will. I prefer Mike Wilbon style to Stephen A. Smith style.
Showing up and wearing a Benny the Bull mascot?
If I'm being honest, I don't like the shouting opinion.
What are you doing
giver.
there? You a sorceress? What are you doing there with your hands?
All right.
Whoa, whoa.
Okay. That's fine. It's fine. I was much more angry at you. Daring.
Whoa, that is deflection.
See, that's what I mean. He thinks what he did to Zaz there. He's like, what?
I don't think
you said you don't like his style, talking, or announcing.
Not my preference.
You don't like the way he presents, and you did so through an assortment of coughs. That's the funniest thing you've ever done right there, the way all of this dismounts. You criticizing his style while you can't get your style beyond the cough.
And I gave you a compliment that my opinion of you has changed since I've gotten to know you sitting here once or twice a week for the last almost year. And you said your opinion of me is the same.
No, I think he actually, yes. He was saying the same as Zaz, mine has grown. That's
right.
what he...
Yes, which I said later in the interview.
Oh, all right.
But then,
but that's you're saying I don't communicate very well. What are we talking about here?
Right after that, you're just like, but I don't like the way he talks.
I didn't say you don't communicate very well. I said you communicate in a boisterous manner that is not my preference.
I don't know what you're referring to there.
I think he's great at what he does. He's been big in this market for decades.
Go on.
I'm not surprised that he got the coveted gig on as your sidekick. Yes. I think he's very good. Yes. But when you get into that loud shouting thing and you're like New York radio,
did you just promote him to New Gods?
I think I did.
You did?
Am I breaking news?
I don't. Well, that's not news. You're breaking news that's not true.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
Who's telling Tony?
Living my life.
This is incendiary, I believe. Let's play this sound again of Greg Cody because you cannot do funnier than how this clip closes.
Well,
Dad, how do you feel? Dad, has Zaz grown on you? Like, do you find yourself? Is your opinion the same, worse, better? Of like, just in your 4 months working with Zaz occasionally?
I would say it's and I think he told Le Batard that his opinion of me has improved. I think it's the same because when you get to know somebody personally, I think you get to appreciate more who they are.
You just said it's the same.
Well, I don't, and I would say this to his face. I don't love his style of announcing or talking.
What a cutting thing to say.
The thing that gives him actual character and
personality.
To me, he's the New York radio guy, the boisterous, just the guy who's like over the top with.
There you go. The guy that can actually communicate to his audience. I find it hilarious.
He's over the top, right? He's too
yes.
loud.
Too loud. This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings.
Oh, no.
Oh.
No.
Oh, boy.
Zaslow.
That big of a deal.
Professional.
Zaslow.
You need me to take over?
Mike, take out your notes.
Yeah, here. Let's pull the goalie. Yes, here.
On a
let's
read.
let's get rid of Zaz.
Do what
Just
now?
let me keep
Go
going.
ahead and
Best presenting sponsor.
yeah, Zaz. I'm sorry to do this to
Partner.
you, but after feuding with Greg Cody, that's a penalty of some sort.
Oh, no.
I would think so.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, delay of show.
He didn't even finish the read.
No,
Show us
that's
how
a-
it's done,
Greg,
Dad.
Greg, show us how a professional broadcaster does it.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
That is the way to do it. That is why you're the legend.
Thank
The
you.
legendary columnist Greg Cody, king of all media in South Florida, deserves more respect, but you should strip his Hall of Fame vote.
Okay.
Jeremy, you want to please, before we get to Diana Rossini, just recap what it is that we did in that last hour.
Yeah, just want to clarify a couple of things. So the new Kurt Flood will be quarterbacking Miami in what will be the game of the century in November, throwing to the greatest white wide receiver in program history and maybe the city of Miami's history, who also happened to have a perfect SAT score, definitely worth noting. He's big, he's athletic, he's fast, and Miami's defensive line will be better than the one that just had 2 first-round picks on the edges for the first time in program history. Do I have all that right?
That about covers it.
Cool.
I don't have any regrets about the last hour, and we'll get to Diana except for one. I do have a regret. If it appeared flippant to our audience in any way that the Stugotz thing is something that we're enjoying here privately as you react and get annoyed, please understand that I love Stugotz. I will always love Stugotz. I invited him to our watch party. We've been inviting him all month to be on the show, and we want him around here. The door is wide open for him. He's started his own projects, 3 to 5 p.m. daily on Fox Sports Radio. It's a giant thing. He's a live radio monster. He missed it, and he's doing that 3 to 5. And Stugotz and Company in general is something that you should check out, and he'll give you whatever information he wants about when he's coming back. We don't know. I'd love for him to be back.
You could call him the new Kurt Flood of radio.
Just so you know, though, I don't want anyone in our audience thinking that this is some flippant joke, because there's stuff here that would be funny and I would love to make content out of, but I'm not going to out of respect to a relationship that I really value and will always value.
It's not the high road if you have to tell people you're taking it.
I didn't mean to suggest that. I'm just telling people because they think we're being flippant here because of what Greg did there with Stugotz, and I don't want them to think that. It's not something. I don't want our audience to think that I'm enjoying the fact that Stugotz isn't around here, and I don't want it to feel like that to anybody, here included, because I'd love to have him back. I want him back.
Way to ruin the mood. Way to ruin the mood, Greg.
You got to turn your
Oh my
microphone
God, he
on.
didn't
if you-
turn on
go
the
ahead.
mic.
Yes.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, delay of show.
2 notes early. This is. If there was any validity to Stugotz, boy, did you nuke your chances.
She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic, the host of the Scoop City podcast. Diana, thank you for joining us. I'd like any fresh reported materials that you have for us on how weird this Mike McDaniel thing was, where he's got a number of options. He signs with the Chargers, but it's pending if the Ravens job or Raiders job or Bills job or Josh Allen become available. And now he's back with the Chargers. Like, was this normal to you? And welcome, by the way.
Hi guys. Yeah, you know what? It's actually normal. Look, this is a high profile head coach who is an offensive minded head coach, right? And that's kind of a big need right now around the league. So it was smart of him to scope it out, figure out maybe he could get another head coaching gig after the Miami Dolphins fired him. So I don't think a lot of people realize this, but you can sign on as an offensive coordinator. You can sign the papers. You can do all of it. You can make the big announcement on social media. And if, let's just say, for example, right now, the Buffalo Bills call him and say, hey, Mike, we want you to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills and coach Josh Allen, he can do that. Like, he has every right to just take a head coaching job because the rules state that if it's a higher position, you're able to do that. So a lot of people don't do that, right? Because That's going to ruin relationships. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is not going to like that. So if you were sensing some weirdness with it, it's because it was weird. I think Mike had desires to still be a head coach and wanted opportunity, but also realized if that didn't shake out, the best opportunity would be with the Chargers. And I don't think he really wanted to piss off Jim Harbaugh through this either, right? Because he gave him his word, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be your coach. But he was still checking out all of his options. But for now, it's official. I don't think he's going to back out. But he's not going to back out because I don't get the sense that any of these openings are going to be hiring him in the next few hours here. And just a heads up, a lot of hiring is going to be going down over the next few hours.
Diana, it seems to me that coaching Justin Herbert for that team is the best possible path back to a head coaching job for Mike McDaniel. Yeah. Do you agree? And if so, why?
Yeah, I do, because we still have yet to see Justin take off, right? I think we've talked about this on the show, how good he is. I think most people that cover and follow football believe that Justin Herbert is a very talented quarterback, but he can't get over the hump. So if Mike McDaniel can walk in here and maybe bring this offense alive, you absolutely can get back in. And I think that's the way a lot of these guys are approaching it. If you can just have one good year and get a young quarterback functioning, you become the hottest head coach candidate. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury was fired and he got head coaching jobs after this Washington Commanders year that wasn't even that good. There is just such a drought for smart offensive-minded head coaches right now. And that's really the problem that you're seeing with this cycle. I think the leader of men, we'll call it that description, I think there's a good amount of them. I think more specific to offensive-minded, there's not as many.
Quick follow-up on Mike McDaniel. A source of mine with the Dolphins told me that the reason he got so much interest is that he qualified under the Rooney Rule.
Oh, come on.
Is that true?
Come on.
Do you believe that's true?
No, come on.
No,
Wait a minute.
no,
Wait a
but
minute.
it's
Was that a
funny
happen to
because-
know? Excuse me, Diane. I just want to know, is that original?
He happens to know.
Is that it? You just said a source. You
Yes.
never do that. Forgive me, Diana, but you just reported. Are you reporting that a source with the Dolphins said
Yes.
to you that he got so many interviews because he's a black candidate?
I think that's part of the reason why. And I'm wondering if Diana believes that's true or if she thinks he got that many interviews based solely on merit. I'm just curious. And I was told that the night of the national championship game Monday night by a
you don't have.
high-ranking
We're not
Dolphin
questioning you.
official.
We're just saying you're reporting that because that's going to be national news.
That's a tough look for the Dolphins.
I mean, it's so ridiculous what you're saying
Okay.
that's going to become national news.
All I'm saying is, and I don't know the exact number, if Mike McDaniel was interviewed by 5 or 6 teams, let's say, for a head coaching job, does Diana think that part of the reason might have been that that interview qualified under the Rooney Rule? That's all.
I do in Mike's case, I do not believe that to be true. I am not questioning that somebody told you that. I believe that someone maybe shared that with you, but obviously that's just their opinion. They don't know whether or not the Bills were really serious about Mike. The Browns, I know, and they were serious. And it has everything to do with what we just talked about in terms of his offensive mind. And look, I know it wasn't spectacular there in Miami, but some of these situations, and we talked about this last week, so many of these guys get fired and their stock goes up, right? Mike went from being just the bizarre coach that has genius moments, but no one's really sure what he's about, to every team that was looking for a head coach had shown interest, reached out to his camp, because I do think there's some untapped talent there. And if he can be linked to the right quarterback with a good ownership group, I do think he could have success. So I feel very comfortable saying all the Mike McDaniel interviews were because people believe that Mike McDaniel is a good coach.
You mentioned that it's not all that uncommon for a coach to have a coordinator position locked up but still take interviews. But this interview process, at least publicly, seemed a little erratic. He seemed interested in jobs and then decided to pull himself out of certain interviews, maybe read some writing on the wall, or did he just value the LA spot?
What I assumed, Diana, was that his agent was leveraging, hey, look how wanted my guy is. One of you want to make him a head coach, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that, right? There's this is the time of year where we become, and when I say we, us media members, become one of the most important parts of this. I don't call that many people right now. People call me, right? Because they want me to come on your show right now and be like, you know who is a star, and whatever name that is, because it helps. There is, I'm not going to reveal who it is, but there is a candidate that went through this cycle now that is 1,000% constructed by the media. Because every team I've talked to was like, oh my goodness,
Let's guess.
How?
Well, go
No.
ahead.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers,
Yeah,
for sure.
let's go ahead and guess. Like when,
No. The Phillip Rivers thing actually had a little steam at one point. I assumed that was let's just be creative, think outside the box, try something different. His agent is the same agent as Josh Allen. Maybe that was just like a favor.
You say a little steam. What's the steam level here?
yeah, give us a steam level.
Like a
do you
choo-choo
measure-
train?
What's a little steam? What's a
Oh,
little
that's
steam?
a
Like a
good-
little teapot? What? How much steam are we talking
Teapot,
about?
drain.
Radiator.
A little teapot, like just some hot steam off of your latte.
Coffee on a cold day.
Yeah, coffee on a cold day.
Oh, that's little. That's
That is
very
a
little.
little
That's
steam.
covered
That's
in
nothing.
That's a
though.
sad amount of
That's
steam, I would
nothing.
argue.
That's
But
not-
but remember too, he met on Friday, and then
It's one little-
I think I reported no, I just reported yesterday. I don't know what day I reported, but it was pretty quick. It was like in and out. He met, he pulled out, which I know everybody makes
In
the
and
same
out
joke.
steam.
I know the same joke about Phillip Rivers
Right.
pulling out.
Doesn't pull out.
First time he ever.
Well, the Phillip Rivers thing I thought was just an absence of offensive mind. It is funny to me to think of the idea that there are like 4 guys in the league and I got to go get Phillip Rivers because otherwise McCarthy's not going to, every other offensive guy McCarthy can handle, but not these whiz kids.
Well, look, these whiz kids, we're seeing a little bit of a trend right now. These great play callers, not very good game managers, right? Like, look at these playoffs. I think Sean McVay would have loved to have had a little extra help with someone in his ear, giving him some guidance. The same guy who's in Mike Vrabel's ear in New England, his name's John Stryker. They call him Stretch. He was with McVay last year and left, and now joined Vrabel again. They were together in Tennessee.
Diana, take us inside of that for people who don't understand the sophistications that we're talking about. It's fundamentally unreasonable to ask these people in these pressurized situations in 25 seconds to get the play call right from the booth every time with the substitutions because the other guy's moving really fast too. Like, it's a really hard job. So
It's
take
so
us in,
hard.
Take
We
us into
take
the
it-
headset of where even McVay can't keep up with everything.
Yeah. I mean, I've never had the headset on, but Chase Daniel, my co-host on Scoop City, has done this for me because I've been interested just the way you are. Of like, what does it sound like? What does it look like? And I don't understand how people are able to comprehend it because not only do you have to have situational awareness, you have to think about the play ahead, also be cognizant of timeouts. And the best game managers that I've covered have help. They have somebody telling them in their ear what to do, when to go for it, what the odds are. And then you mix that with gut and feel for the game. And look, even some of the coaches that I respect at the highest level, Sean Payton on Sunday, still makes mistakes, especially if you're a play caller. And I do think that that is something to keep in mind when we're watching some of these organizations that have success. Are they the play callers? Because to call plays and be the head coach, I'm always going to say that's really hard. And keep that in mind too in this coaching cycle. These are questions being asked. Are you going to call plays or not? And most teams don't really want their head coach being involved in play calls because of this situation. It costs games, and it cost the Broncos a game.
Diana, this part's fascinating to me, okay? The specialization of these things, okay? Mike McDaniel is obviously someone who is very good at coaching offense.
Yes.
Period. Like, you don't need to tell me anything else. He's one of these people who's obviously very good at coaching offense. The idea that even McVays and the Paytons of the world would be like, I got this, and then do stupid things because they're not willing to have a staff of 10 and be egoless enough for Vrabel to be like, what, I got a 54% chance on 4th down here if I go for it? I want to play probabilities here. Like, it seems really ego-filled for guys like McVay and Payton to have to handle everything.
It does, but think there is so much on the desk of a head coach in terms of what they only have so much time in the day. So what are they going to invest in? And so from what I understand, and even from covering Vrabel in Tennessee as much as I did, they put significant amount of time in obsessing over game situations and even the officials. Like they study the officials and are a little over the top with the details of that. I'd be curious to see how many head coaches are doing it at that level, because you see it in the game. They practice it, and then it reveals itself when the pressure's on. And they don't make a lot of mistakes. I don't want to jinx them for the Super Bowl here, but they're usually making decisions because they're prepared for it. And I do think there is an obsessive factor there that helps. And it makes sense, right? Because think about where a lot of this staff comes from. It's the Belichick way. And there's not a lot of similarities between Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel, but when it comes to that stuff, the details, the game management, I mean, I think they're the same person.
So walk me through some of this part of it, though, right? So McDaniel is viewed as a clown because the media is loud when he's not a clown. He's obviously very good at this specialty. Now, Vrabel, if Vrabel is someone who's going to know this official, I need to throw deep more because he calls pass interference 16% more time. Does Vrabel then have to know that I can't wear the white uniforms because in the second half the snow's coming and nobody's going to be able to see anything, and I've got a game plan for a second half that's going to be ridiculous weather? Like if you know what the referee's tendencies are, don't you need to know what the weather is in the second half?
You do. And I'm actually surprised that Sean Payton didn't have some type of preparation for this. This is the same man who had a player on the Saints wear cleats that blended with the white hashes and had him lay down in the end zone to run a trick play. I mean, and they called it chameleon, the play. Like, he has all these incredible, I mean, he meets with the football ops people to talk about the amount of smoke that came out of the Superdome when the players would run out. He is not somebody that is lazy when it comes to the small stuff. So I am a little surprised. I am not surprised that the Patriots were prepared for the snow at all and purposely did that. Like that's without a doubt. Everything they do is intentional. I just don't think they talk about it as much.
Diana, you said that the Phillip Rivers Buffalo thing was definitely for real. How is that possible?
Little steam.
I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, he's proven to be a very good quarterback himself. Some people believe that he's been a good coach on the high school level, that he understands the position. Maybe there's things that Josh Allen needs as the leader of the team that Phillip Rivers could understand, and he can lean into that. Josh Allen's sitting in on every single meeting for a reason. They value his opinion. They value what he needs, what he wants, and perhaps what hasn't been given to him. So, look, I think the Buffalo Bills made a firing knowing that it could happen, but I still think you'd be surprised how many teams don't have a lot of preparation for this stuff. It's not like they have a long list sitting in their desk. I mean, some GMs do, but where you're like, okay, if I'm going to fire this guy, this is the answer. Look at the Browns right now. You fire Kevin Stefanski, and we're waiting right now. I think they're going to make a hire in the next few hours here. Who are they going to hire that's going to make you guys believe that the Cleveland Browns are going to be competitive?
They have a Pro Bowl quarterback.
I understand the skepticism. He's never been a head coach beyond the high school level, but I think Phillip Rivers just did kind of prove that he's largely in tune with today's game. And he's got Josh McCown had some of this too, where everyone just acknowledges that guy would make a great coach. Seemed to be able to rally the troops, be a good vibes guy. And what he did just this past season was incredibly impressive. I wouldn't doubt him.
I guess, and Diana, before you answer that, we just went through a whole conversation about how hard being the head coach is and how fast everything moves. And yes, I get it. He's been a head coach in high school, but it's not like some 30-year legendary high school coach who wants to be a coach for 2 years.
The funny part about this, Diana, like, it is really funny. Like, we just talked about how hard it is for it to be the coach. Now make it the quarterback who's got two guys coming off the edges who are 300 pounds, and he's got to think fast too. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Matt Ryan in charge of my franchise, and I'm going to hire Troy Aikman and ask for all his advice. And I'm going to get all these guys who process quickly and see if they can be better decision makers than the ones that I have. Like Phillip Rivers, you've got to assign sort of, especially given his skill set. He wasn't physically that good. like, you have to assign the fact that Phillip Rivers has some sort of genius when it comes to football in his head. Now, I don't think it translates. I don't think he could teach it to others. I think it's silly to make these guys go to the front of the line and give them all of the power in your organization and say, hey, are you all so good at people management when somebody's like shitty employee and you're running?
That's the formula right now, right? Like, that's obviously the trend. And you just painted a perfect picture of what every owner is looking at. They're going, John Lynch has had success with Kyle Shanahan out in San Francisco. D'Amico Ryans has been a great leader for Houston, makes them competitive. And as you mentioned, Matt Ryan, Mike Vrabel, former player. Anthony Weaver's getting tons of opportunity right now, former player. That tends to be, I think that makes a lot of owners comfortable because they think that that's the best way to rally these guys because they've done it before. Yet I still don't think it makes you completely ready, right? Just because you played the game, as we've all seen before, just because you played it doesn't mean you can teach it. It certainly takes a certain type of leader and manager. Like you mentioned people manager. That is such a big part of this. And anytime I've spoken to general managers after they fire head coaches, that's usually what it comes down to. Coaches are bad managers, the ones that get fired. So I think that guidance is making owners feel good. Like Matt Ryan must know. He'll know if this guy is for real, if this coach is really good. Because at the end of the day, I still don't truly believe that those that are hiring these coaches know exactly what it is that they want. And it's not an easy process. I think that's the other part of this. It is very difficult to find the right coach. We can laugh and joke about the hirings and the firings and the owners that have moved on from some coaches and stayed too long with the others. I just think it's a really hard position to figure out.
Subscribe to the Athletic Scoop City podcast with Diana Rossini. Thank you, Diana. Didn't get to the Eagles coordinator stuff that probably enrages her husband at the moment. Next time, more coordinator talk next time. I want to examine with you guys before Pablo Torre comes on here with his latest bombshell, NBA related, that is part of the shared reporting that he is doing in a very difficult media time. For those of you who do not understand what's happening in the media, it is not dying, it is dead. The mainstream media cannot keep up with some of the things that it needs to keep up with in order to hold truth to power these days. And so Pablo Torre is coordinating here, and he's done this a couple of times. He did it with Matt Ishbia and Dan Gilbert, a story that it was complicated and involves, mortgage details and business details that explain to you how it is that billionaires get into power. But he is teaming up with Hunter Brook to tell you that the Memphis Grizzlies owner, the Hunter Brook, is reporting there are some ties to the Russian war that you might find interesting, even though the news is getting complicated, Zaz, and journalism is getting complicated. And so these stories are hard to get in front of people because it's just much easier to talk about who do you think the next offensive coordinator is going to be. But getting back to what it is Diana was saying, Pablo will join us in about 10 minutes. So it's not just Matt Ryan, here's the keys to the Falcons, you go right to the front of the line. Or Phillip Rivers, come teach us your genius. It's also Tom Brady, you can have every job that you want. In football, you can break all the barriers. You can be a great broadcaster. And also you can run the Raiders if you want, because these people are air traffic control for the chaos of stress management in America on Sundays. So you think Sean Payton and Sean McVay's got a lot to think about. No, they're just on the sidelines of this nonsense. The whole thing runs through the quarterback. He's the economy. He's the epicenter of all of it. And Sam Darnold better be better than Stafford. And that's Verse on the corner coming after him. Like, all of this stuff moves impossibly fast. We watch on Sundays and have no earthly idea the skill set required to be air traffic control at the center of that chaos where the next guy's going to hurt your brain. It's nuts what those people do for a living. But it doesn't mean he can run the Falcons, and it doesn't mean that Brady's going to fix the Raiders.
I'm surprised we don't see more former high-level quarterbacks in these roles.
They don't want to do it. They want
Right,
to stop
that has to
thinking.
be it.
They want to stop thinking when their career's done. Look, every 25 seconds, you're going to fire a missile at me?
Right. I mean, these people, I think everybody would say they're high achievers. And I can understand how someone looks at Matt Ryan and says, this guy probably will be good at anything I make him do.
Or you can just be Dan Marino, and I'm never mad at you. You know what I mean? That's why Marino just chose.
That's right.
I get to go to all the games. I get to still be Dan Marino, but I don't have any of the pressure.
Well, he was a bust.
Most of them don't even want to go into broadcasting, though. It's such a high stress job, and it physically hurts so much that many of them don't want to be Elway and start running the Broncos. Like, they just have a hard time finding anything after football that, like, can you imagine? Think about this for a second. I mean, I don't know if it's trauma, but, like, my guess is their body has to store some trauma over 15 years. Every 40 seconds while I'm out on a field, somebody's going to try and hurt me, and I've got to make these decisions really, really fast. I got to do it with a clock on me every few seconds. Do you think that person, after retiring, finds anything in the real world that will ever feel to them the way that felt? The power of that, the strength of it. I'm the center of my city. Everyone in my city is watching me right now and is going to get mad or happy with the consequence of every decision I make for 25 seconds. And it's just totally insane around me. At all times, I'm the one who's always in charge. There's no filling that void after you retire. Like, it's hard for some athletes to retire because you lose your identity at 35 years old. It's hardest for the quarterbacks because where the hell are you going to get, I'm the greatest gladiator every weekend. I get to be either Baker Mayfield or I get to be Sam Darnold last Sunday with whatever I leave with because I've got in the trophy case, I got the MVP's head in my hand.
It's why I can understand why a quarterback would want to be a head coach. I don't really understand why they'd want to run an organization, deal with the finances and the player personnel moves and all the things that come with that. But the leadership of being a quarterback should translate to the leadership of being a head coach because you're used to running that group of men. In a different way, you're just running an offense. You're not running the defensive side as well. But there's also the challenge of working on the schematic side of it. If you're somebody like Phillip Rivers that played for as long as he did, he watched eras of offense change over time. And he actually was on an offense in the Chargers that was part of ushering in a new era, throwing to the running back more. He might enjoy the challenge of trying to continue to update offense and get a quarterback to a new place.
Can we talk a little bit, though, about how dumb some of this is with our analysis, given what I'm about to say? Everyone listening to this knows that McVay and Sean Payton are good at their jobs, and those two coaches are responsible for their teams with decisions they made, not being in the Super Bowl and ending the seasons of their team because they did the incorrect thing. Not worse than Vrabel. You will not convince me that Sean Payton is worse than Vrabel because this is how we're measuring. Play 17 games, all 17, and in the end, you're just doing it to get home field advantage because those 3 points matter, and you want to be at home in that game because being at home in that game, our quarterback's hurt. Never mind about the measurements. Never mind, we played 17 games to get that advantage, and then it all goes away. If it were actually about picking the best team and not making sure you get the televised game dollars on Sunday, they'd wait 8 months till Bo Nix is healthy and then let the teams play. If it was actually about who's best, because the Patriots did not beat the Broncos' best team. They just beat the one that had the shitty quarterback. Like that's asinine, and Peyton lost them the game with the shitty quarterback, and instead of being celebrated, he's killed today because he went for it on 4th and 1 with the shitty quarterback.
Are you having like an existential thing when it comes to like football? Because like, it's never about who's best. It's about who wins. Who wins gets to call themselves the best. You're applying like give me an 82 fixture type of season logic to a sport that's never been about that.
I'm just telling you that McVay and Peyton are considered routinely the best, and they are the reasons their team is not playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but why is that any different from when, like this weekend where Darnold was better than Stafford this past Sunday, but no one believes that Darnold's actually better than Stafford.
Right.
Like, the coach can have a better day than that coach, even though we know he's not as good.
It was announced yesterday by Jeremy that the Seahawks are clearly better than the Rams. So if you're telling me the Seahawks are clearly better than the Rams, and I just saw Darnold clearly be better than Stafford on Sunday on 3rd down when it matters most, then what's the big leap to saying that Darnold, if he's better on Sunday like Seattle was, he gets to be better for that day forever the way that the Seahawks are?
Well, I think you're putting a little too much, I don't know if value is the right word, but it's not all on the quarterback. Like, there are other players on the team. And Seattle is definitely a better team, even if their quarterback is not as good as the Rams
because their defense is clearly better than LA's defense. It matters. That's why I thought Denver had a great chance to beat New England, is because of their defense. despite Jarrett Stidham. They didn't, but they had a chance to because of
But we
defense.
talked about offense and Phillip Rivers and Mike McDaniels. Like, the thing about this stuff that's noisy and dumb is you will not convince me that McDaniels is not good at producing offense. It's a hugely valuable thing to have. And if you give it to me, I'll be fine with that as my head coach. I don't need a lot else because McVay and Payton are good at offense too. And it's their defenses. Like, Peyton got there because of his defense. McVay was betrayed by his. For all his offense, McVay couldn't beat the number one defense in the league, which collapsed at the finish line. Like, the Seahawks showed you nothing in that football game that suggested they were the number one defense in the league. They didn't show you what Houston did in the playoffs. They didn't show you what Denver did in the playoffs defensively. What proof do you have in that last game that Seattle's good at defense? They held the Rams and Stafford on third down. They also allowed Stafford to have a game of his life type of performance.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, you could be the great defense. They still gave up, 27 points to the Rams. And in the biggest spot of the game, on fourth down, like, they came up with the stop in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it matters.
I don't think that's a bad battle between the top offense and the top defense.
After the Rams dropped the touchdown pass, the two plays before that would have not resulted in that fourth down. It doesn't matter is what I'm saying. I could take any one play from any one of those games this week and change the result entirely.
Right, but I watched that game on Sunday. I'm like, yeah, that's how that plays out. Top offense versus top defense. Like, the top offense is going to get theirs occasionally, and what can the defense do in the crucial moments? Can the offense break down the defense? So I do think at times, it looked like the Rams were having their way and had the better of a familiar opponent. Remember, these are division rivals. Sean McVay knows how to attack this defense probably better than anybody else, but that's the top dogs in their respective areas. And I thought it played out the way that it was hyped up to be.
Dan, I don't know how many times we have to tell you all that matters is
head-to-head. That's right. All that matters is winning. Forevermore. So Pablo Torre has a new bit of reporting, and
per her Instagram, Jessica Smetana and Lehman are engaged.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Wow. Congratulations to Jessica. Congratulations. I think the last thing that Lehman did publicly was betray her. And so that ends up in a proposal soon thereafter. He betrayed. That's actually Jessica Snore. That is not edited in any way. Congratulations, Jessica.
You know what they say, the best way to start a marriage is breaking trust.
Congratulations, Lehman. They are the happy couple. So Pablo is with us, and that's not how I expected to introduce that. Hunter Brook is reporting some ties that are suspicious between the Memphis Grizzlies owner and the war in Russia and the Ukraine. So, Pablo, get us caught up to date, please, on some complicated subject matter here that Adam Silver, I'm sure, does not want to deal with today.
Yeah, a lot to get to, Dan. Hi, guys. Does Jessica have sleep apnea? Because I have sleep apnea, and I feel like she might need a CPAP machine. Like, that's... I gotta wear a Darth Vader mask to go to bed.
Not edited. We're not making that up. I couldn't believe it.
Wow. That's how Jumpin' Charlie snores.
Speaking of trying to muffle the truth, though, look, I have a whole, at this point, mission/curse that I try to uphold, which is explaining to everybody who the richest people in sports are and what they're actually doing. And so it turns out one of the 5 richest owners in sports is the guy who owns the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'm trying to glance in the tiny window that I have on my computer at the shipping container. I don't know if you guys ever thought about who owns the Memphis Grizzlies. If you
Timberlake.
had any idea.
Yeah, my boy.
Timberlake, right?
So this is the funny part about the Timberlake thing. So Timberlake is an owner of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's one of the limited partners of the Memphis Grizzlies. The actual owner
isn't Peyton Manning?
No, the guy the young guy who wants to play one-on-one against everybody.
I know, but I want to live in this weird hypothetical world where Mannings are supporting drone attacks.
Well, they're off to the side, but the real owner, Robert Pera, the controlling majority owner, I am told separately that he was once told by a woman he met out one night that he, in fact, was not the owner of the Memphis Grizzlies because she had read that Justin Timberlake was the owner of the Memphis Grizzlies, and Robert Pera, that owner, was so mad that he threatened to buy out the rest of his minority owners because, how embarrassing to be the real guy only for Timberlake to get your shine. But this whole thing is about like, okay, so who is Robert Pera and where did he come from? And Robert Pera, who is at last estimation, I'm looking at it, worth over $30 billion. He is a former Apple engineer who started a company called Ubiquiti. And Ubiquiti, I don't know if you guys know this company at all, but they make really good like Wi-Fi products and routers and stuff. And so what Hunter Brook Media and Sam Koppelman, who's our guest on the show today, discovered after 6 months of their own investigation is that this company, despite sanctions being placed against Russia, in fact, Ubiquiti routers and products and antennae are being used to enable the war in Ukraine, the war against Ukraine. These are the very devices that Russian soldiers have been using in what is modern warfare, in a series of what the United Nations has now called crimes against humanity. And we just escalated a lot there from Timberlake to these photos, but that's kind of what sports are like now. Wait a minute, that guy's doing funding that?
Yeah, so this is the part, though, that I want to get in front of people, Pablo, because I believe your Kawhi story is just easier to play with, right? It's just got stuff that's not life and death. It's silly and funny and intrigue and espionage, but it's not this. So, again, I will say that Hunter Brook is doing the reporting, and I don't think this story is going to catch because I think it's too complicated on subject matter, and people are going to move away after the initial aggregated headlines because the media is dead. So please explain to people why the reporting on this is important. And what Adam Silver's supposed to do here, because he's faced with unprecedented things that he's not equipped to lead against, because who's thought of this as one of the things that makes, an appearance as a commissioner?
Yeah, I mean, are we vetting who these owners are and how they're making their money and continue to make their money once they're in the league? You know, a fun sort of juxtaposition here is that Robert Pera's most famous employee is Ja Morant. He is currently the face of the foremost weapons scandal in the NBA. And meanwhile, Robert Pera, according to Hunter Brook's 6-month investigation, which involved undercover reporting to buy these very devices and ship them in a circumvention of sanctions because of the war in Ukraine, ship them to the war front in Russia. Plus certificates, letters written to the third-party vendors that Robert Pera's Ubiquiti does not seem interested in actually finding out about. Plus, just a series of just calls and bits of testimony from Ukrainians who are watching this product, a supermajority of which comprises, it seems, the technology that Russia is using to wage, again, what the United Nations calls crimes against humanity. It raises the question of, do we care? Do they care? And the very basic sort of technological question is very simple, right? Like you're out in the woods and your cell phone has bad reception and you wish you had Wi-Fi. Robert Pera, Ubiquiti, have made a device that actually solves that problem. It creates a Wi-Fi network out in remote locations, and the premise was we're going to make the internet accessible to everybody. It turns out that it's being used not only in Russia, but also in Iran, which Robert Pera's Ubiquiti has previously had to answer for from the US government. And Robert Pera said back in 2014 that if this happens again, he'll be in big trouble. That's effectively a paraphrase of a quote that's in the episode. We're showing that it seems to be happening again in another war zone. And the victims, of course, could not be more serious in terms of the consideration we should be paying them. And so what will the government do? What will the NBA do, Dan? I find that the through line here is that the NBA is so PR focused that the thing they care about the most is, frankly, will the US government do something to make us look bad? That was the story in the gambling scandal. Oh no, the FBI came out and they made us look like we didn't do our jobs. That was a problem for them. In this case, that is the thing that I think is the next big domino to tip over. But in the meantime, I do think sports fans should probably know, hey, this is the real weapons scandal happening in the NBA right now.
It'd be easier for them to know if it wasn't distracting to hear both police sirens and what sounds like a dryer behind you. Are you drying sneakers? What are you drying?
Delicate or heavy cycle?
I thought I powered off the dryer. My dryer technology is not good enough.
What's in there? Is there a basketball in there? Like, what heavy thing did you put in the dryer? Is it just an assortment of wet towels, lopsided, banging against?
Hold on. You guys have me drying sneakers.
That's what just sounded like.
Weather's been bad.
Well, what is it? What's
so three things are happening right now, okay? I have a dryer that I thought was deactivated. I got my neighbors doing a gut renovation of their apartment, and I have the NYPD outside doing something in the snow.
Did you move? So, are you on the move from authorities that are trying? Look, you're bothering very important people. You're bothering very important people with reporting that people don't want in the light of day. You think Adam Silver wants to be dealing with this shit from you?
I am told reliably that I am a pain in Adam Silver's ass at this point. We asked for comment from all of these entities, and Hunter Brook, again, I credit their investigation, partnering with them on this. It's a lonely world trying to be the guy who angers people who have, again, $30 billion in the case of Robert Pera,
here's the
or
thing,
$150 billion in the case of Steve Ballmer.
I believe that we no longer live in an environment that absorbs shame or even polite society. So trying to do journalism in these times when the rules are totally different make me suspicious that all of this months of reporting that are required to put this in the light of day will disappear in 12 hours because it's subject matter that is too hard for the daily sports argument machine to talk about.
Oh, look, I think that very few other networks, you are also on an island here. I don't think I've gotten 0 calls about, hey, can you come on our show to talk about the Crimes Against Humanity story and Robert Pera? So thank you guys for making time. But also, I do think, like, the whole premise of the show is this story, when you see it unfold in an episode, is actually pretty, I will say this at the risk of tooting my own horn, it's pretty entertaining, right? It's not boring. And so the question is, can the attention span of the sports audience even withstand the attempt to make this interesting for you? We've melted cheese. We got Timberlake, we got Kevin Hart, we have one-on-one games against Tony Allen and Michael Jordan that never happened. We have an NBA owner saying about Robert Pera, no one knows where his sales are coming from. Like, this is a mystery in the league we're solving for the first time with some celebrity around it. But we can only bring, the horse to water.
You're selling, but Pablo Torre finds out is regularly doing stuff like this. But I need to point out again, this is the 6-month work of Hunter Brook here. He is just showcasing the work because the media is more and more fractured, and you require certain partnerships to get work like this done.
Yes.
Work that the billionaires would prevent in every way from having done because it costs lawyers a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to get this work done, and Memphis and the NBA don't want you to see any of it.
Yeah, look, Hunter Brook is the entity we partnered with, just briefly, when we investigated Ishbia with Hunter Brook, the Chinese brainwaves with Hunter Brook, and now this with Hunter Brook. We need more, the thing I want to be very clear about this, I can be territorial in terms of, trying to establish why we do what we do, but Lord, I would welcome help. I would love to platform other journalists who are doing this stuff, because the more of us that are doing it, the harder it is for the richest people in the world to actually ignore the findings.
Pablo, the New England Patriots built themselves up after losing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They tried to draft Tom Brady's replacement in Mac Jones. They whiffed on that. And then they got Drake May, and now they're back in the Super Bowl, all before Joel Embiid made it to a conference final. That's a wrap on the process, right? You give up.
They lost by 40 to Charlotte.
That's
yesterday.
it. That's it on the process. Just stop. Just hang it up.
Why?
Even if they were to be successful, it wasn't because of the process at this point. That's it.
Charlotte was up 50 in the third quarter, and Embiid wasn't playing. Up 50 yesterday.
I'm trying to talk about war crimes, and you're bringing me Joel Embiid's knees. Really?
Guy never plays. Less than 50%.
We're all trying to embrace us being able to say into a microphone when we had that one wrong.
This is what Miami's been reduced to.
Have you thought about Robert Pera's team?
The Canes are out of the news cycle, and now all you got is this.
Have you thought about Robert Pera's team potentially having Terry Rozier on that roster?
Well, Pablo, I have seen that the sports media and national media has grabbed you recently because they love talking about the sports betting stuff, and you come in and you talk about the overarching point shaving and indictment. So in the recent rounds you've made on that particular story that the NBA would also like you to not be making the rounds about, what have been the most interesting details recently?
Oh, God. I mean, the fact that this stuff is not even close to over. I mean, we are in the position of being a tiny newsroom that is trying to chase the biggest stories that are actively being investigated by the Fed. So when the federal government drops that big indictment, this is now the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, by the way. Right? I'm not even on their email list. I'm getting emails from the Eastern District of New York, which is what was doing the Operation Nothing But Bet stuff and Operation Royal Flush, right? The NBA side stuff. That's New York. Now Pennsylvania's in this with the college kids, with the college games. And that, to say the obvious thing, right? Like, those are the soft targets that are most easily compromised because their cost-benefit analysis of like, what am I making salary-wise versus what could I be making if I were to manipulate games, they've always been the biggest targets. And so when the FBI and the Eastern District of Pennsylvania get in on that, what we're doing is scrambling to catch up because God knows that we have a list of names that are popping up before we can publish. And so the most interesting thing to me is that we have not seen the bottom of the rabbit hole on that yet. There are more NBA characters that we are trying to be responsible in our reporting before we name. There are characters that are obscure, that only really like some NBA degenerate fans would recognize. But the college stuff is unbelievable.
That's not that's not the dryer. That's people doing work upstairs, right?
That's the gut renovation.
Yeah, that's not the dryer. Okay.
Yeah, they don't. By the way, they also my neighbors, like the national media, doesn't give a shit that I'm investigating some of the foremost billionaires.
So I have fewer than 30 seconds left. Please help me implore and beg both the sports media and the media to pay attention to this Hunter Brook reporting. Please tell me what I need to do to get this as subject matter the way that they run to you the moment that you do anything about Kawhi or sports betting.
Yeah. In 30 seconds, what I would say is that if you spent a second thinking about how should we punish Ja Morant for waving around a gun, you should spare a couple of minutes for an investigation that took 6 months into the owner of the team, his boss, who is enabling Russia's drone war and effectively powering, according to this reporting, crimes against humanity according to the United Nations. The real weapons scandal that the NBA has to make a decision on how to respond to is not Ja Morant waving guns on Instagram, as serious as that may be. It's drone warfare that is being enabled by the technology of his owner, who by now has been warned about how his technology winds up in Iran and now in Russia, according to this reporting. So just keep that in mind the next time you think about, what's a controversy in the NBA? There might be something even bigger than that.
Has to take him 80 seconds. Just can't do it.
Folks, listen up. You think you've got the boldest take of the week? Well, prove it. Call us at 305-486-GOTS.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Are you surprised that Shedeur Sanders has now more Pro Bowl invitations than Caleb Williams and Jordan Love combined? At Le Batard Show. Zaslow was unreasonably mad earlier about the Pro Bowl. I worry about anybody that gets unreasonably mad about the Pro Bowl.
There is nothing to worry about when it comes to me and the Pro Bowl, because all I'm here to tell you is Pro Bowl, get the hell out of my face. I don't even know what they're doing anymore. I know they're not playing an actual game. Is it flag football? Is it all kinds of stupid tchotchke games? I don't even know what they're doing. But when we're replacing Drake May in whatever cockamamie game you got going on with Shedeur Sanders, who was statistically one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL this year, Pro Bowl, get the hell out of my face.
I could not agree with my friend Zaslow anymore.
How about the way he said it, though?
I think it warranted.
Oh, you're okay.
raised
Oh,
tone.
so this is
Yes,
not about his tone.
that's
It's just
right.
whether you agree with it or not.
Could have
That's
used
correct.
the cough. Could have used the cough in there.
Yeah, could have used a cough, but I think the outrage was warranted.
I mean, really? To be
Yeah.
outraged
Get
by
the hell out of my face.
Seriously, Shedeur Sanders, he had a terrible rookie season.
Okay.
Terrible.
Everybody's got that opinion, right? Nobody, I mean, and the Pro Bowl's stupid, and we're really going to get mad about the Pro Bowl like that. Yes, but there's no one who doesn't have that opinion, correct?
Okay.
Or is this two Americas? Is Shedeur Sanders such a symbol for excellence, such a polarizing avatar for everybody's been holding him back and holding him down? And Jamel Hill even tells us, yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about him because he represents black excellence. Is that what we're going to do with Shedeur Sanders now? We're going to make it a first take topic so everyone can yell except black people are saying stop pounding on him?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's smart. That's good. I'm
First
glad-
Take has the headline, What Can Brown Do For You?
Flag football game. Okay. That's what we're doing.
I don't even know if that's what it is. But whatever the Pro Bowl is these days, I already told you. Get the hell out of my face.
All right, this seems like a good way to spend the time of white and black people arguing about this.
Can't he just be a bad quarterback? Can't he just have had a bad season and not merit the honor of a Pro Bowl? Isn't that possible?
Who's the white quarterback that got invited that we can be upset about? I'll find it.
Okay,
Please,
will you?
go ahead.
I mean,
Get back
'cause
to you.
right now it's just him and Tyrod Huntley. Those are the two Pro Bowlers for all time.
Ooh, how do you feel?
Yikes.
How'd you feel about that name? Did it feel good?
What? No, I put a
That's
D-
why I
put
call
a-
him Snoop, because I can never
put-
remember either.
What's
yeah,
Huntley's first name again?
Yeah, I
I
did
didn't
that.
hear
Did you
wrong.
combine him with another black quarterback? Is that what you did?
Yeah, with Shedeur Sanders as well. So I'm putting three of them. I should have just said Huntley is what I should have said. I'm feeling that one. That one hurt.
Tyler just became Tyrod,
Yeah.
Wow.
and you're accusing other people.
To Americas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Like, I can't even deny it. You see through me in a way that has me exposed and vulnerable. I feel nude in front of you.
Because I felt bad when you said it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
Imagine
felt
how
sorry
I
for you.
felt.
You had secondhand embarrassment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's not his name.
Yeah, that's not
I
even
knew it
close.
right away. That's a Pro Bowl quarterback he's talking about.
Kind of like when Zaz earlier tried to talk with his mic off.
He was a Dolphins quarterback. I right now, just so that you know, if it were not clear to you guys who are so helpful in these circumstances about making sure to bail out an old man who made a mistake, I right now feel not merely nude in front of America, but also covered in feces. That's how I feel right now. So if you want to smear more feces on me, go ahead, because that's what just happened, America. I confused an assortment of black quarterbacks who don't belong in the Pro Bowl. That's what happened. All of them. That's what I just did. Vince Evans, too, was in there.
Your take is black quarterbacks do not belong in the Pro Bowl?
That is my take, yes. I'm doubling down on yes. Go ahead and aggregate me. I got a text message yesterday.
Suey dismissal.
I got a text message yesterday from one of those clowns at Shitstain's website that wants me to comment on something that they're doing with the racial wars. And I wanted to comment, yeah, you work for a shitstain. That's my comment. Thank you for continuing to do just exceptionally shitty work. If you're an extension of a shitty shitstain, that makes you in the turd business. You're a turd in the turd business. That's my commentary. But I didn't send any of that.
Good quote.
Overcompensating for your racist mistake.
Yeah, that's all that's happened there. You're absolutely right. I'm in front of you nude and covered in feces, America.
Quite
for
a fetish.
look, I threw Warren Moon in there. Doug Williams was in there. Michael Vick was in there. And in the middle of it, I was defending him against dogfighting allegations. There were so many black quarterbacks in there.
Lamar Jackson, overrated, am I right?
All of this is happening right now because the Pro Bowl wouldn't get the hell out of my face.
That's the reason. I am now immersed in one of my greatest shames as a journalist. After gasbagging and soapboxing in the last segment, isn't Pablo doing good work, stealing the work of Hunter Brook and grifting off of it in order to show that there's a relationship with Putin, possibly? Then right after that, I just immediately go into the dumpster and create an amalgamations of black quarterbacks that turns Huntley into Tyrone. I know it's Tyrod. I know, Jeremy. I know you're quick. You smell the feces and you want to throw some more. I know.
The death metal Jeremy.
I know it's not Tyrod Huntley.
I don't like what the team did. They cut it up. I mean, I could play it, but we don't want to do that, right?
I'd love if you
No,
did.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's just him and Tyrod Huntley. I mean, I know. It's been echoing in my head since I said it. Like you guys.
That's why I didn't like they did that. I don't know why I even played it. That was
low.
We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's just him and Tyrod Huntley. That's not the way to defend Shedeur Sanders in these.
You want to play Zaz's from earlier, the DraftKings thing? I have that too.
Will that make you feel better?
No.
No?
Let's try.
No.
He messes up too.
Yeah, but it doesn't have racism in
Let's
it.
see.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings.
Oh, no. It's not
Oh,
nearly
no.
the same.
It's Drap.
Yeah, it's not nearly the same.
I mean,
You could
play
play
one more
my
time.
mistake,
Wait,
but I
wait.
haven't made any.
Play it one more time. I want to see if there's racism there.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no racism. Sorry.
I'm sorry to all black quarterbacks. I'm sorry to all credible journalists. I'm sorry to all public speakers. I'm sorry to all journalists who have come before me. This is a source of eternal shame. I am not sorry for Shitstain or anyone who works for him. Can you guys get me the video, please, that I was looking for when Diana Rossini was talking about the Harbaughs? Because I want to present to all of you something that you may or may not know. If you know the answer to this, please do not say it out loud because it'll ruin the video. But are you guys aware that there is presently a coach in the NFL who has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson? Is everyone here?
Head coach.
There's a head coach in the NFL because an assortment of coaches were asked if they could guess who that coach was. But I'm guessing from the look on your faces that none of you think Andy Reid had more rushing yards in the NFL than Bo Jackson, but that there is an NFL coach who has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson. Wow. And so an assortment of coaches were asked this question of, can you name this? And Sean McVay especially was particularly perturbed. Like, it was funny to see their reactions. McVay's perturbed because he's a bit of a genius when it comes to football history. He knows so much, it's a bit scary. He can do memorization games that are nuts. But also, John Harbaugh was pretty pissed here for a number of reasons, but including because he's stubborn. Not surprisingly, he's one of these guys. Don't tell me the answer. I'm eventually going to get the answer. That's the least surprising thing in this entire clip, right? That a Harbaugh is, you better not tell me the answer. I'm a self-sufficient, self-made man. I don't need answers from the internet. I know this answer. I know it. Don't give me any help with this.
Which current head coach has more regular season rushing yards than Bo Jackson?
Current regular head coach has more, you mean in the NFL or in the NFL? Oh, it can't be Campbell. The guy who was there a quarterback. It can't be O'Connell. He never played, really. It's not Mike McDaniel. Pete Carroll, but that would have been leather helmet days. No, I'm not giving up. Not giving up. My conference. Patriots, Jets. No, he played corner. I don't want you to tell me. Somebody, what division is West? The West. Jim, oh my God, that's terrible. That is so bad.
How does he not know that? Now, the original clip has a bunch of coaches, McVay and McDaniel and a whole bunch. Nobody could get it. It's shocking that's a shocking statistic,
I mean,
is it not?
it's shocking, but Jim Harbaugh was really the only possible answer.
Well, for John Harbaugh to not remember, though, for him to get that many clues, it's in your conference. It's in, like, how do you skip right past your brother because you think so little of his athletic talents, even though he was the great quarterbacking athlete in your family? Like, John Harbaugh pales compared to Jim athletically. Jim Harbaugh played the hardest position in the hardest way. I'm sure he buries John with that. all the time as his brother. And John, I don't know if John is younger, older. What is the age difference between them? I don't even know.
So Jim Harbaugh was like Drake May out there?
No, but he was a scrambling quarterback. He
was in his day.
He could run.
And he played a long time.
Yeah, when he was captain comeback, he also came this close, Chris, to taking the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl.
Hail Mary.
He had a Hail Mary that just scored it out.
He ran so much, I almost called him Tyrod. Tyrod Harbaugh. Tony is in Hialeah, and he is. I'm grateful for this because we wanted to show you. My father here, he had a factory in Hialeah that he ran as a fiberglass plant. I spent a great deal of my childhood in this city, and it is the 5th least affordable housing market in the United States. Hialeah. And Ben Affleck doesn't know how to pronounce it in the movie The Rip. Hialeah. Now featured on Netflix. Hialeah. Tony, where are you? What are you doing? And where are you taking us in a city that has a bunch of streets? And I don't think Waze will help you here because of the way that 86 turns into 54th without any explanation.
Good morning, Dan. We are here at the fountain at the entrance of Hialeah. As you can see, 100 years. We're celebrating 100 years of our beautiful city, the City of Progress. Right now I'm standing on Okeechobee Road and East Drive. I don't even know if you can find that on a map, but I want to see if we can throw to some B-roll. If you're driving on the Palmetto and you get off on 103rd, it quickly turns into West 49th
Yeah, you
Street.
got to be careful with that.
Inexplicably. We don't know why.
No.
We don't know why that happens, but there's evidence of it somewhere that's going to be on the screen at some point right now.
Yeah, you can't see what you're
Bam, you
doing,
can
so
see it
this
there.
feels a little like Skyscraper, where Al Duncan is yelling, Alec, can you hear us? No, he can't hear you. And then you ask him how he feels about being at the top of the skyscraper.
I don't remember that scene. I just remember Will Sawyer.
Yeah.
He was jumping from the scaffold
Yeah, exactly
onto the
right.
building, Tony.
With a peg leg. Yeah, with a peg leg.
Can't say
We
that
don't say that.
anymore. We can't say that anymore.
Oh, wait, first off, do not tell me what I can't say after what you just did this segment. Wow. People in Hialeah were disgusted.
Hialeah. Thank you, Tony. I
the truck.
appreciate the
Love the
support.
truck going
Yeah,
by.
Okeechobee. Look, that's the sound of Okeechobee. You're not on Okeechobee unless you hear a truck farting exhaust into the
Laying
sky.
out does give me the opportunity to thank me allies.
Tony.
There it is, Dan.
Yeah,
Okeechobee.
Yes, it's the famous. Okeechobee is the most. It is the most famous street in Hialeah, is it not?
Yeah, or West 49th Street, or some other random street that they have. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so are you going to do your top 5? Are you ready to do your top 5 from the City of Progress?
Born and ready, baby. Let's do it. H-Town, stand up. Had a big point from an oil rigger there.
Yeah,
Dan.
I saw you got that. You got to ask the trucks for some. You got to keep doing the sound so that you get some horns from the trucks the entire time.
Okay, if there's a truck, I'll be on the lookout. So if you see me do this, there's a truck passing by. We'll start off one OLI this week. Obviously, we only had 2 games to pull from. So one OLI. Is there really a worse football name than Jake Bobo?
Yeah, it's not a great
That's a
name.
tough one.
Yeah, 17-yard touchdown.
Jake Bobo.
Didn't belong in that game.
El
yeah.
Bobo,
El
touchdown.
Bobo. Sí, come mierda. Jake come mierda just caught a 17-yard touchdown pass. El Bobo. I don't think you could say El Bobo anymore, actually, in Spanish either. I think it's in the realm of peg leg. I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not
no way.
sure.
They cannot take Bobo from us. They cannot take Bobo from us. No.
Okay,
No.
Bobo might be on the spectrum. I do.
No,
I'm not
no,
sure
no.
in Spanish. I don't know what the rules are.
No. I draw the line there. We keep Bobo. Bobo's ours.
I don't think it's
They
the
can't
line.
take that from
I don't
us.
think it's the line for you to draw.
I trust Tony.
I'm not sure. No, I think it's close to peg
Thank
leg.
you.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
close. Bobo,
No,
you've never
Which is
considered
also ours still.
you've never considered what I'm asking you right now, which is I think that might be how we refer to a phrase that we can't say in English anymore.
Again, it's in Spanish. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
so we'll
nobody
keep it.
knows.
Bobo.
Yes.
Jake.
Yes.
Jake Bobo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you're gonna keep getting honks.
All right.
Number 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Hanks. All right, number 5. Really, Mike McCarthy. Okay.
That is shocking news from earlier in the program. Greg Cody reporting that a Dolphin source told him that Mike McDaniel is interviewing so much because of the I can't even say it.
It should make the crawl.
The Tyrod Rooney rule.
Oh, no.
What happened?
Number 4. I don't know. I want to stay away from all that stuff. I'm going to keep Bobo on my side. You guys deal with that over there. Number 4. After the first drive, I really thought Jared Stidham was going to do a Nick Foles. Man, that pass, that 55-yard pass, I was like, there's no way. There's no way they got him off the street. He hasn't thrown a pass in 2 years.
It looked like it was
on. He's
on.
going to do this to the Patriots defense.
I thought it was on.
I was like, oh my God, they're going to rout them. They're going to run them out of the building. It's going to be that bad. And then he threw a backwards pass and shit himself, and that was that.
Dan's all like, I'm not watching this game. I refuse. So I'm like, you're missing a classic.
What else? Bad take, yeah. Bad take by Dan. What else? What else is new, though? Number 3, Drake May. Drake May calling his own number, not telling anybody. Absolute huge, dragging, dangling cojones, Dan.
Yeah.
You don't do that unless you know you're going to get that first down. And when he peeled off and that linebacker was cutting, he was like, oh, God, please don't let me slip here. Because if I slip and we don't get this first down, things are going to be nasty. I got a peace sign from that guy, at least.
That's not helpful.
Number 2, the 2 quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game produced the second best passing total in one game in playoff history. 720 yards combined between 2 quarterbacks. Only Brady versus Foles in Super Bowl, whatever that was, I don't know, Roman numerals LII, had only more passing yards, 878.
All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show.
If anybody knows Roman numerals, let me know.
Do you know what Super Bowl LLI was?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't think that's
Number
right.
1, LII, Dan. LII. Is that 52? Is L 50? I don't know. Whatever. Not the point. Number 1, this game produced arguably the best 2 wide receiver dueling performance ever in a conference title game, with both receivers going over 150 yards and a score, something that has never been done before in a conference championship game ever.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate that report. Yeah, the trucks didn't cooperate. You probably need to get a little closer to the street. If you want to get closer to the street, we can go and get more football information from you in about 5 minutes where you're a little closer to the street.
I could just do highway sound, honestly.
Yeah, then just leave Tony there. Tony, please don't say anything. You just keep asking for honks, and we'll just have as ambient noise behind you for the next 8 minutes, the sound of you on Okeechobee and Hialeah.
You got it, Dano.
Thank you. Are we using Roman numerals for anything else other than Will Fuller? Like, is it just Super Bowls? Are Roman numerals now dead?
No.
Is that well? Where are we using Roman numerals?
And they still use them in ancient Rome.
Is it like cursive? Tony, I need you to keep quiet. Tony, Tony, I need you to keep quiet.
No laughing where it works.
Tony, I just want to hear highway sounds from you. So I think it's like cursive. I think it's like being able to tell time on a clock. I think that there are certain things that kids are not growing up with anymore.
Are you okay, Tony? Okay.
And Roman numerals
I'm good.
is one of them, right? Where the Super Bowl is the only thing keeping the Roman numeral alive other than Will Fuller. Correct?
I miss when WrestleMania used to use the Roman numerals. It felt big, you know?
Vince thought it made them look old.
Stupid.
Well, the Romans are that.
Stupid man.
The numerals are that. They are indeed old.
Yeah, but it feels like grand when you got like the X. And
Put it on the poll at
the
Le Batard
V.
Show. Does it feel like grand when you have the Roman numeral?
Then L gets in there, and it doesn't look as prestigious.
Right, I agree. Why can't they just say Super Bowl 60, 6-0, which is what this
Because
one is.
Roman numerals make it seem more grand. And speaking of old, Roy on the Hockey Show is revisiting the what has to still be considered the greatest upset in the history of American sports. Correct? If we are still talking 46 years later about what is the biggest moment in the history of American sports, it's the United States hockey team beating the professional Russians in the 1980 Olympics. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We interviewed Jack O'Callahan, who was one of the defensemen on that 1980s United States hockey team. He joined us on behalf of Netflix who has a documentary on the team. It's called Miracle, the Boys of 80. You can
awesome.
watch that interview on the Hockey Show's YouTube page at the Hockey Show DLS. I asked him, because we were talking about Herb Brooks at the end of the interview, what exactly is a Herbie? And it's a skating drill where they had to skate from goal line to blue line. Back to the goal, back to the goal line, to center ice, back to the goal line, to the other blue line, back to the goal line, back to, all the way to the other goal line and back. It's exhausting.
Yes.
And you had to do it in 45 seconds, otherwise you would have to do it again.
Herb Brooks would be banned today from anything that resembles professional sports by an assortment of unions.
They did that for 45 minutes after the Norway.
Herb Brooks would be illegal. The coach of the U.S. Olympic hockey team would not be allowed to do his job that way.
I watched Miracle. I showed it to my younger son for the first time last week. It's my favorite sports movie. We watched it last weekend. Movie's awesome.
Yeah, it's a galvanizing thing that happened for the team because it was a team full of rivals who did not like each other, and that switched to a unified team
So that scene
did
was
not
legit?
like their coach.
That was legit, that scene?
That was legit, yeah.
It's awesome.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are there more good hockey movies or more good football movies? I don't know how good the Netflix series is. This is look, there are certain things in sports that make things the best, right? It's rare that you have regional identity around something or pride in something that is emotional for you in sports beyond the results of the game. But patriotism is always the best thing. It's why the World Cup is the best thing. It's not even regional pride, it's national pride. And so for this to stand the test of time with all the games that are being played 45 years later as the single of the greatest upset stories there's ever been, never to be dethroned by any upset. Because what's close? It's Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. Like, what are the ones that you would point to and say, that's the greatest rival I've seen? Look, Indiana would have to be considered. The football season that Indiana just completed would go in that conversation if not for the patriotism of nothing's ever going to go in that conversation, because it also has the political ties of we saw Russia fall when everyone thought that the Russian professionals were our greatest enemy.
Yeah, it'll never be topped because the Cold War, the pros versus the college kids, it'll and it was in Lake Placid, it was at home. It'll never, ever be topped.
Yeah, and the production sent the living members of the team back to Lake Placid. They had them sit on the bench and watch footage of what happened in 1980.
Old guys telling
Amazing.
stories.
Oh,
Yes, they can inflate all the tales. They can just lie and wrap it all in the American flag. The American flag is never wrapped in lies.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's just a great documentary.
And it also features the greatest play-by-play call of all time.
Yes, Al Michaels.
Al Michaels still hasn't done better than that. The thing I wanted to ask you guys about, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ariel Helwani, and it's fine to keep the Hialeah dulcet sounds of the highway.
Better than going to I would rather sleep to that than like rain. I love this
nice.
sound right
Yeah,
now.
it's, except for you wouldn't want the honking. You
Maybe
would,
not the honking, but like it's the good stuff. Right here, what we're hearing, this hum.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. What is second place to New York in America in honking? Like, what do you think? Like, New York is
backing up.
the winner, but I am consistently in my feelings about somebody honking to me unreasonably fast because we are a city of honkers and a lot of frustrated people out there in their cars, and traffic is super annoying, so tempers are frayed. But what finishes second place in America if I were to say to everyone listening, hey, what's the second loudest honking city in the United States?
Los Angeles.
I don't think of Los Angeles that way, though. I don't hear a lot of honking in Los Angeles, and you would think with traffic there being as bad as it is on that, it's big and it's congested, but I do not associate Los Angeles with honking. Miami's an angrier town.
Yeah, could be here.
Miami's more more frustrated. I think you're making that up, Roy. I don't think Los Angeles even has a honking reputation. New
Why
York,
are you making things
it's just
up,
a
man?
big city.
It's because it's it's thought of a lot of traffic. So I'm with Roy. You just kind of assume when there's a lot of traffic, there's honking.
Why would you do that, Tyrod?
Whoa, man. I'm getting HR, man.
I can't believe I did that again.
You're getting old, man.
I'd be filing a letter over to my HR. If you could so kindly read that for me. Nate McLouth.
That's all it says.
No, seriously, open up this scroll. Oh, wow, there's really something here.
He just wanted to go with his own joke
Ahoy!
instead of the one you were inviting him
I
to
have been
read.
repeatedly referred to as peg leg in the workplace. While I'm known for me maritime enthusiasm, this be a step too far. Moreover, there be no known correlation between scurvy and limb loss. Also, Dan confused two black QBs, and that should not go unpunished. Captain Jack Bobo.
I don't think you can say Little Bobo anymore. I don't think you can anymore.
That be me name. Tom Gorzolani. The good stuff.
I lay it.
Zach Duke.
Truck drivers have to be tired of that gesture, right?
Jason Kendall.
Just keep playing Hialeah as he does Pirates, Chris, and shut up.
I lay it.
Jason Bay.
I lay it.
Ryan Doomit.
I lay it.
Adam LaRoche.
I lay it.
Guys, Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, is where it's at. When anything can happen in the biggest game of the year, DraftKings has early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. New DraftKings customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bet if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code DAN. That's code DAN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your boat wins. If your boat or your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Me boat on the Jason Bay.
I lay it.